Hi everyone, Michelle here. If you've been hanging around this channel for a while, you know that I don't have much patience for fluff. I've lived in the Las Vegas desert for over 30 years, and if there's one thing this climate teaches you, it's that nature does not care about your aesthetic goals or what's trending on social media. It cares about biology and consistency. Lately, I've been scrolling through some Hoya groups and watching some videos, and I'm seeing some advice that makes my spidey sense tingle, and not in a good way. So today we're busting 7 of the biggest Hoya myths currently making their path across social media. We're going to deep dive into why these rules exist and why you should probably ignore them. Grab a coffee or something stronger if you've recently killed a Hoya undulata. And let's get into the facts. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you find these videos helpful and useful. If you are returning, I appreciate it so much. If you like today's video, please consider liking it or even subscribing to my channel. And if you have a question or comment, please put it in the comment section below. I answer all of my comment questions, so I will get back to you. And now, let's go ahead and take a look at that first myth. Let's go ahead and start with the big one that won't die. Keep them in a tiny pot or else you'll never see them bloom. Now, there is a tiny grain of truth there. Hoyas do not like to swim in giant pots of soggy soil, but root bound is not a requirement for growth or for blooming, and it can sometimes evolve into a stress state. In the wild, these things are epiphytes climbing up trees in Southeast Asia. When you keep a plant severely root bound, you're just making it harder for the plant to take up water and nutrients. You might get a death bloom because the plant thinks it's dying and it wants to reproduce quickly before it kicks the bucket. But that's not a strategy for a long-lived, happy Hoya. Here's a tip from me. Give them a pot that fits the root ball with maybe an inch of clearance, half an inch on each side. A Hoya will bloom when it has reached a certain level of biomass and is receiving enough light. If you see more roots than soil, or your Hoya stopped growing, it's time to size up your pot. Don't starve your plant of space just because you're impatient for a bloom. Now, some growers feel that Hoyas often grow under the forest canopy and they don't need much light. Sure, they grow under a canopy, a tropical canopy. The shade in a Philippine jungle is still about 10 times brighter than the darkest corner of your room. If you're going to put your Hoya in a corner, it's going to survive, but it's never going to thrive. It'll get leggy, which is the distance between the internodes spreading out quite a bit. And that is just the plant's way of desperately reaching for a sunbeam it can't find. Most Hoya want bright, indirect light, and I generally steer away from full sun because our desert sun is very strong and it can burn the Hoya. If your Hoya hasn't grown a leaf since the Obama administration, move it closer to a window or get decent growth light. Just don't cook it in the Vegas afternoon sun, or you'll have a crispy Hoya snack. Next is the taco test. This is where you grasp a Hoya leaf between your thumb and first finger and squeeze inward. This is to see if one can bend a leaf to see if it's flexible. The story goes that if it bends like a taco, it's time to water. If it doesn't bend, wait a little longer. Here's the problem with that. By the time some Hoyas, especially the thick leaf ones like Hoya latifolia, are flexible enough to bend, the roots are already in trouble. You're waiting for the plant to be severely dehydrated before you give it a drink. That's the perfect way to get dry root rot in your plants. It's much better to use your finger to feel the soil down at the middle of the root ball, or a bamboo skewer to check for moisture. Don't wait for the plant to look like it's been wandering in the desert for a week. Consistent watering is the key to preventing dry rot, which is what sometimes happens when roots die from thirst and then rot the moment you finally give them a soak. In the wild, rain isn't just H2O. It's a nutrient soup full of decayed organic matter, bird droppings, and minerals washing off the tree bark. Your tap water in Las Vegas or anywhere else is definitely not providing that. If you want those big, bold, beautiful Jurassic leaves, you have to feed them. I personally use an orchid fertilizer solution almost every time I water during the growing season, which for me is spring through fall. Think of it like this. You can survive on bread and water, but you're not going to be very healthy or strong. Give your Hoya some nutrients if you want them to actually do something. And I do a weekly fertilization where I water at 1/4 to 1/2 strength of fertilizer every week. Now we're on to yellow leaves. Yellow leaves are the general check engine light of the plant world. A lot of growers panic and assume they've overwatered the plant when they get a yellow leaf. And while that's true, yellow leaves can also mean a dozen other things. It could be underwatering leading to dry rot. It could be a nitrogen deficiency. It could be pests, or it could just be an old leaf that's lived its full life cycle and is ready to fall off. Before you change your entire watering schedule and let those plants fully dry out, check the roots. If the roots are firm and white, you didn't overwater. Don't assume that you're a plant killer just because one leaf turned yellow. Even my best plants drop a leaf every now and then, usually just to keep me humble. If you spent more than 5 minutes on Instagram, you're thinking planting a Hoya in dirt is a crime. The current myth is that Hoyas only thrive in semi-hydroponics, like pond, and that soil is a death sentence. Now, I've tried semi-hydro. It's great for some people. Personally, my experience was it worked good until it didn't. When Hoyas got a certain size, which is about the 5-inch size, they started getting terrible roots. The roots were very intermeshed. They were very thin. They were very small. I'll see if I can put a picture up of what they look like. But they are all interconnected together, and they really aren't really doing anything other than just being meshed together. So that is my experience and why I chose to take my Hoya out of pond and put them in organic mixture. And let's think about how these plants have been growing in organic matter for millions of years. You don't need a chemistry degree and a reservoir of pH-balanced water to grow a beautiful Hoya. If you have a watering routine that works and a chunky, well-draining soil mix, your plants will be just as happy as the ones in the fancy pond. Don't feel pressured to transition your whole collection just because it's the trendy way to grow right now. If it's not broke, don't repot it. Finally, the 7th myth. The myth that if you trim a long, leafless vine, you've ruined the plant. People often see these runners and think they are sacred. Hoyas send out long tendrils to assess the environment around the plant and find where it can safely attach before growing new leaves. Sometimes Hoyas send out a runner that's very long and refuses to grow a single leaf. These climbing tendrils are why I trellis most of my Hoya, but never leave the growth tip of that Hoya stem pointing down. That will stall the growth hormones to that stem and it will stop growing. I don't trim off the stems until they turn woody and dry like a twig. Then I cut those off. The other ones can still grow leaves at any time. It might be a little unlikely, but they still can do it. Now, don't be afraid of your shears. You are the boss of your plant, not the other way around. So there you have it. 7 myths that need to go back to the compost heap. The secret to Hoyas isn't some magic trick or a special spray bottle. It's common sense. Give them good light. Don't drown them, feed them regularly, and leave them alone enough to let them actually grow. Now, if you've heard of a Hoya rule that sounds a little bit suspicious, drop in the comment section below. I'd love to take a look at it. And if you've enjoyed this no-nonsense approach, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching until the end of the video today. I know that you have a lot of things that you can do with your time, and I really appreciate that you chose to spend that time with me today. I'm Michelle, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.
I stand alone in silent space, no sounds to trace.